David Hume, Scottish Enlightenment philosopher, 1711 to 1776. He's one of the strongest skeptics in more modern philosophical terms. He was an empiricist as well. So Rene Descartes versus David Hume. We've just covered Rene Descartes. He was a rationalist. Once again, he thought his senses can lie to you, remembering the candle example. He said, therefore, the way we really learn anything is through our minds, through reason, through thinking things through. David Hume believed differently. He was an empiricist. He said, you know what, your mind can deceive you as well. Ultimately, he says, we only can gather information through doing experiments that can be reproduced with reliability. He said ultimately he was a skeptic. He didn't believe necessarily all of the stuff that Descartes was telling us. Optical illusions. We're all familiar with optical illusions. In case you do not have a definition for them, it's something that deceives the eye. It appears to be something than what it really is. The existence of an optical illusion supports Descartes saying that our senses lie to us. These next few slides will show you examples of optical illusions. Over here we see a couple of optical illusions. The face on the left over here, some of you might see a perhaps Native American staring out to the left, while others might see somebody with a winter jacket on with a flashlight looking into a cave. So the first picture, this would be the face, eye, nose, mouth, chin. The second picture of the person looking into the cave, this would be the arm and the flashlight. This would be the back of their head. This would be their feet. Second picture, some of you might see a beautiful girl looking away from us. Others of you might see an old lady looking down. The old lady looking down, this would be her nose. This would be her mouth. Here's her eye kind of shut, her bangs of her hair, and she's looking down. The girl looking away, we can barely see indications of a nose and an eyelid and a cheek as she looks away. This would be her ear. This would be her neckline. This is some sort of a necklace. An optical illusion can be taken in different ways. A classical optical illusion as you try to follow the little dot. On the top we have a couple of cats, leopards perhaps. I don't know which neck goes where. And on the bottom you have a optical illusion. Maybe you see a urn facing us. Maybe you see two old people about to kiss. Or maybe you actually see a couple of apparently Mexican guitar player wearing sombrero with a girl in the back. I don't know what else could be seen there, but optical illusions, oftentimes our eyes can lie to us. This is Julian Beever. He's a chalk artist. As you can see on the bottom left, how far the leg of this lady has to protrude out of the picture. Now, if you look in the picture to the left, you might be able to see a white pole on a beam. That's where the camera is facing. On the top right, we see what the camera is taking a picture of. The leg has to be extended that far to give us the optical illusion of 3 dimensions. And you see Julian Beever in the top right. That's actually the artist stepping into the pool which he has created on a chalk drawing. His art is great. He's someone you should really look up. Here's another example of Julian Beever's artwork. And you can see how distorted on the bottom right the Earth has to be in order to get the perspectives in 3 dimension. You can see, once again, Julian Beever in the top left. He's standing on the Earth, so to speak. But in order to do that, it has to have a forced perspective. This is an interesting optical illusion. Stare at the little dot in the middle of the screen. Very, very strong stare. Not really taking in the rest of the picture, just that dot. And you're going to hold the stare for another 3 or 4 seconds. And then the picture is going to change, but keep staring at the dot. And tell me, or tell yourself, is the picture color or is it black and white? Now stare away from the dot. Is the picture color or black and white? It's an interesting optical illusion. We'll let it run a second time. Just stare at that dot. Now, obviously, the color theory here somehow creates a illusion. But once again, our senses can lie to us. Keep staring at the dot for another couple of seconds. And voila, you will see you have a color image, except when you look around, it's a black and white image. Couple of interesting ones I've found online. The one on the right is a one that's actually pretty easy to do, just by, well, I won't tell you how to do it. Which way are these next objects spinning? I don't know if some of these illusions will come across online, but we will see. Are the hearts spinning to the left, or are they spinning to the right? For me right now, the hearts are spinning to the left, counterclockwise. And on the chest of the king, they are going down. But now that I look back up, the hearts are now spinning back to the right. Which way is the face spinning? Some see it going 360 degrees, so for a while we see the back of the face. Other people think the face just is going back and forth right in front of us. Your senses can deceive you. Same concept. Which way is the girl spinning? Clockwise or counterclockwise? Some see her bouncing back and forth. Some see her actually going 360 degrees. This is the explanation of the previous slide. It fools your brain. And if you actually look to the picture on the left, you see how she's spinning. Now look to the picture on the right. She's going a different direction, except she's not. Your eyes are just perceiving it differently. Can you read this on your first attempt? And to be honest, right now, I cannot. Oh, okay. Yeah, now I got it. If you haven't seen it yet, it says bad eyes, and I guess the concept to squint is probably a good idea to see it. Now that you've seen it, you really can't unsee it. It's just an odd illusion. It's not moving, but it has, or my mind perceives that it's moving. So Rene Descartes. Optical illusions show us that our senses can deceive us a lot. Rene Descartes was a rationalist. He said we really can't trust our senses. We've just shown you a number of examples of optical illusions because our minds ultimately are the only thing that's helping us understand what's what. Our senses are lying to us. But can our minds lie to us as well? A pareidolia. A pareidolia is a tendency of mankind to conceive of all beings like themselves and to transfer to every object those qualities with which they are familiarly acquainted and of which they are intimately conscious. Bottom. We find a human face in the moon, we see armies in the clouds, and by natural propensity, if not corrected by experience and reflections, we ascribe malice or goodwill to everything that hurts or pleases us. Ascribe malice or good, so if you just tripped over the box on the floor, that box on the floor for some reason wanted to hurt us, that's why we are swearing at it. I don't know if you've ever looked at the clouds before, but oftentimes you can see a face. The example of pareidolias is David Hume said that it showed that an empiricist view is correct. Empiricists believe that our minds create things, our minds lie to us just as much as our senses. Here's a couple of famous images. In 1976, the Viking 1, we launched into outer space, and it brought back these pictures on the left. And you see what very much looks like a face to me. Well, in 1998, we were able to get a much better picture, and it's not anything at all. But on the left, it looks like a face. Our mind has created that image. It's not actually there. That's what a pareidolia is. A couple of things found in nature. To me, the rose, I see a skull, and the leaf, I see a scary Halloween ghost-like face. On the bottom left, I see a tree staring at me, sort of with a perplexed look. The figure on the right, some people have seen it. It looks like a face in the clouds. Whether or not you see that or whether or not you want to say whose face that is optional. A tree on the left that appears to be of a ballerina. And on the right, we have just basically a door with a couple of eyes staring back at us. But it's amusing how we actually make, at least I do, I give them characteristics. I give them personalities. That guy on the right, I'm thinking about what he's thinking. Here, another one. We have a tree on the right, which appears to be a female form, outstretched. On the left, we have steam on a shower curtain. Some said that they see some sort of picture of God or Jesus or Colonel Sanders, or some just see steam. A couple of funny ones, obviously. These are just things found in businesses, which to me turn into faces. A couple of natural rock forms, which once again appear to be faces staring at one another. A couple of quite angry green peppers next to a very hipster mailbox, apparently. I'm amused at the mop on the left. He seems to have disdain for you watching this video. On the right, we've got the, what kind of tree is that? A palm tree that's kind of got the Sideshow Bob hair thing going on and a look of surprise. Once again, this is just a mop in a tree, but our minds create things out of them. Here is I don't know why I put these images on the same page. We have a tree with a rather prodigious backside. And on the right, we have a smiling religious chickadee church. Here is an example of a grilled cheese. Some people see the face of Mae West or Marilyn Monroe. So I've been giving you examples of pareidolia. I've found a couple in my own bathroom. I had it redone a couple of years ago. It's just a random image on walls, and all of the walls like this, but by staring at the bathroom over the last couple of years, I have basically seen a couple of images, whether or not you can see them. The first is a demon of some sort, perhaps Descartes' demon. He stares at me out of my shower. You might see his head is where the skull is where the arrow is pointed at. And on the bottom left, a lot harder to see, but it is, of course, Northern general from the Civil War, Ulysses S. Grant, with a lion's mane on top. You can read this for yourself, but according to research at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter what order the letters in the word are. The only important thing is that the first and last letters are at the right place. The rest can be a total mess, and you can still read it without a problem. This is because we do not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. Our minds can lie to us just as well as our senses can. Our minds create things where there's nothing there. In this case, in good example. In bad case, in terms of Ulysses S. Grant on my bathroom wall. It's true, your mind plays tricks on you as well. So we come back to the original genesis of this PowerPoint. Rene Descartes saying that our senses can lie to you, and we showed you optical illusions. And then David Hume, we showed you pareidolia, things that are just naturally occurring that our minds deceive us could be something else. Rather it be mops that have crazy faces or trees with nice butts. David Hume was a skeptic. He believed we know a lot less about the world than we think we do. Everybody who runs around saying they know stuff, going all the way back to Socrates, who said, I'm the smartest because I know nothing, David Hume continues on this skeptical viewpoint. He was an empiricist as well. In being so, he thinks that our most basic beliefs, the things that every day we think about the world, we cannot 100% prove by reason or with our minds, but we accept them otherwise. And we'll give some examples. But he said the only way you really can ever know anything for certain isn't through your mind can lie to you, only through experiments, only through repeated experiments. He disagreed with the idea of rationalism, that your mind can definitively tell you anything. People like to believe that our actions and our judgment and all of our decisions are based on logical reasons that make 100% sense to everybody. But according to Hume, we're only lying to ourselves when we have this viewpoint. He said, our actions and our beliefs are really determined by our emotions, and they are random. It's not based on logic at all. We're lying to ourselves when we think things make sense. It's just our random emotions. When we decide whether someone is likable or whether we agree with someone has said, we do it really only on our feelings, only on our opinions. Any reason that we come up with, and some of them are justified, but we only come up with them after the fact when we're trying to justify if what we did is right or wrong. On a basic level, everything that we decide, all of our opinions, are really just that, opinions. They're not facts at all. Do you agree or disagree with this concept? So David Hume, once again, is a skeptic. If you've forgotten what a skeptic is someone who just says, I doubt it. They do not believe in everything. Now, a skeptic can be looked upon in a couple different ways. Some people see a skeptic as someone going around with a pin, poking holes in everybody else's reasons. I mean, every class had one kid who learned that Santa Claus wasn't real before the others and wanted to poke everybody else's balloon. A skeptic can also be taken as someone who, simply put, doesn't believe everything they were told. One of my favorite bumper stickers I ever saw said, I'm sorry you believed what they told you. A skeptic just listens to the facts and tries to make up his own mind and finds flaws in others' assumptions. A couple of images. The first one is just an amusing one. National Society of Skeptics. I don't believe we've met. I don't believe you don't believe we've met. And on the right, you have a quote that shows the more positive view of a skeptic. I'm a skeptic not because I do not want to believe, but because I want to know. How can we tell the difference between what we would like to be true and what is actually true? The answer is science. Once again, an empiricist believes you can only know something by having repeated experimentation of it. David Hume, once again, feels a lot of what we think we know is only opinions and beliefs, mistaken beliefs. He gave some examples of the type of errors of thinking. The induction fallacy. Even though experience is the only real way we can know anything, it really can't tell us much about reality or the future. Just because something happened a certain way in the past, we cannot assume it's going to happen again in that same way. No matter how many times it appears that one thing is going to happen in the same way, we cannot 100% guarantee that it's going to happen again and again and again. Facts in themselves hold no power to predict other facts. If every gorilla we ever saw was black, that does not tell us that every gorilla is black. Associationism. Hume looked at how the mind works, and he saw that our ideas are usually formed by combining other sense perceptions that are similar and that we experience together. So an example, what's the first word you think of? And you can play at home right now. Soap. What's the first word you think of when you saw soap? Most people would answer something like water or dirty. Now, soap and water are often connected in our minds. They are associated. But soap and water are not the same thing. But in our minds, they are connected. We'll play again. Dog. The first thing you think of dog is cats, fleas. Now, hypothetically, dogs have fleas, but cats and dogs we've connected because they're both animals that you can have in your house. But ultimately, that association is only existing in our minds. One final time. Knife, fork, or stab? I always look with slight concern at those who say stab. The uncertainty of causation. Causation is what causes what. And the uncertainty, instead of jumping to his opinions and assumptions. Hume says we need to believe that things have causes. We need to have a way of knowing what things cause other things to happen. This need to know is a strong thing that's endorsed through growing up in school, but oftentimes we can't know things for certain, which is where we make errors. What we do is we form beliefs about cause that are based on associations. They're not necessarily causing each other, but we've associated one thing with another. He realized that when you see an event constantly followed by another event, you would assume that the first event caused the second. These associations do not tell us how they happen, but one event does cause the second. Now you could say, when I flip the oven on, things cook. So that means that by flipping the oven on, you have caused heat, which has caused things to cook. Yes, that is actual causation. But there are other types of things that do not cause one another, that are seen with following each other. Night comes after day, but day does not come after night. We know that even though night follows day, day doesn't cause night, does it? Or does night cause day? It is not logical to be so certain of our beliefs according to Hume. And if you think about people in the world, Americans, people you know, your friends, your family, we are so certain that what we know to be true is in fact truth, when in actuality it's a reality we've created made of our opinions. Hume felt that humans tend to believe that things behave in a regular manner, and that these patterns will continue into the future. We like to think that things are going to happen in this manner that is common to us, it's normal to us, it's regular to us. It's simply the result of our conditioning, which teaches us that tomorrow the world will be the same as it is today. One reason why people are having so much trouble with the pandemic is they have trouble realizing that the pandemic is the new normal for a while. People are thrown off by this normal. I was just watching the Avengers film the other day, and the Big Lebowski Thor stoner version of him, he said a quote, he said, "The only thing that's permanent is impermanence." That's change. That's straight Buddhism. And Americans and people in the world don't like change. We are conditioned to believe that tomorrow will be like today. We create a been there, done that mindset that kind of is away from the beginner's mind. We're not actually having our eyes open, but we think we know what's going to happen next, so that we're not so anxious of the future. Some people go as far to have the same breakfast every morning so that they feel structure. This is not a bad thing, but it's a way that we create with our minds, we create order where there really is no order. Our minds can lie to us just like our senses. So wrapping up, Rene Descartes versus David Hume. Who do you think is right?